Hello and welcome to Draft 2 of our Bronze to Mythic series. Funnily enough, they did a season reset the day after I started this, so we kind of lost a little bit of rank. Nothing too crazy. Probably should have just waited 2 days to start this, but whatever. We're going on to the next draft here, and today I promise we will talk about sending signals. Now, sending signals is a little odd when you don't know who you're playing with. If you know you're like if you're a day two of a GP, you know that the players will be generally pretty good, and the signals matter more. Same with if you're drafting at your local store and you know maybe you're drafting in a pod with some of the better limited players in your area, you'll know that they'll be thinking about these things too. On Arena, I don't really know. I don't really know if these people actually think about it. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but for the sake of this draft, we will think about it. So, first pack here, we have some black removal spells, a strong overrun effect in black-green, and then kind of a bunch of nonsense. So, what we're thinking about here, right, is if I take this generic good removal spell, this black card, right, which we'll hover for now, what will the person next to me see in the pack, right? They're going to see this card, they'll see this card, and then some of the better cards are like this, and maybe like that, right? So they might think that black-green is open, right? They're probably not going to think blue is open, maybe blue-red, but generally speaking, they're going to think that maybe they want to go into black. Now, since we're taking a black card, we're going to be cutting from them some of the better black cards that we see, which will essentially, it could ruin the beginning of their drafts. And this is a good strategy for when you're drafting at a high level on the big stage. You want, because you'll be playing against those players, you want to have your deck obviously be the best it could, but also make the people's deck worse that you might play against. Here we have between a card to go with our black card. This guy is one of the better reasons to be white-black. Then there's Tone Blast, which just is a great card. And then Essence Scatter are probably the three best cards here. I think Quandra Charm's good, Robo Rouser's good, lands are good. This guy's fine. All that's fine. So now we have to view the signals we are receiving from the right, which has only been one pick, so there isn't too much information here. Maybe red's open, maybe blue's open, maybe white-black's open. We don't really know yet. But as we go through each pack of the draft, all the way up until pretty much the whole draft's done, actually, you'll be able to gain information, right? So now that we're at pick 3, people have already picked 2 other cards instead. And we see that there are still some premium black cards left in the pack. We have a Shieldred's Edict, a Wander Off, an Arnin, and another uncommon, though this card's a little harder to get going. We also see a strong red card, okay 2-drop in green, and you usually don't pick this card early, but it can definitely be pretty good. Now, Shieldred's Edict is a 2-mana removal spell, which is really good. However, you don't often get to pick which creature you're killing, and if we are going to be the black-white deck, we want to have more targeted things. So I think Wander Off will actually do better for us here over Shieldred's Edict, and which is why I'm going to take it. Unfortunately, we're still sending black signals and red signals, but we will do our best to keep that less, because basically we want to be able to still get good cards in pack 2, right? Because when we get to pack 2, the people to the left of us will be sending us cards, and if we have sent them good black cards but we're still in black, then they might end up taking more good black cards away from us. But sometimes the packs just line up that way, right? There's nothing you can do about it. Here we have a 4-mana 4/3 Vig that you can return when it dies. Definitely solid card. There's also Feed the Swarm, 2-mana removal spell that you lose some life. And then a very strong black-green card. And same here. I really don't want to go into black green if I can afford it, so I will just take Feed the Swarm, which will allow me to stay open for black white. And here we see a pack where there isn't really a good green card like for the black green deck. You would mostly play this card in converged decks. A bunch of honestly, this pack's just bad, but we will take Render Speechless. I've actually been impressed with this card. When you read it, it's not really, you don't think it's going to be that great. It's just a 4 mana Thought Seize that puts 2 counters. Um, but usually, if you're on the play at least by turn 4, they haven't played their best card yet. A lot of the best cards in the format are 4 mana plus. Some of them are 3 mana, which would suck, but we're going to take this. And now let's try to keep reading the signals as we go through. Last pack we saw a bunch of black green, so that makes me think that players to my right aren't black green. Those are all bad red cards, so you can't really consider them, I think. And now as we get here, there is no good red card. There's still a decent blue card, and black, green, and white are wide open, right? And that's good for us because that's the colors we're looking to be here. And now we have an interesting decision. We could take a random black white 2-drop, which is fine, a good 4-drop, pull from the grave, or Mind Roots, which is a very strong black green card. Now we did say we didn't want to be black green, so we could pass it. It isn't the easiest card to splash because it's most effective in the early turns of the game. So given that, we will take the 2-drop here. If you were black-green in this draft, your deck would probably be pretty good, right? I mean, here we're even seeing towards the end of the packs, we're seeing some of the staple commons for that deck, but that deck is just the worst deck in the format. And if you're not getting rares, I don't want to play that deck. And we haven't seen any rares. So now we're going to be looking at the black-white cards once again. We have a Historian, an Ink Mage, and a Cost of Brilliance. I probably would play one Cost of Brilliance in black-white, as it does target your thing. It's a divination. But let's keep taking creatures when we can for now, unless it's removal spells. Alright, here we have a nice decision between Elite Interceptor and Cheerful Osteomancer. I think the pick is obviously going to be Elite Interceptor, just a very cheap way to target. It's basically a Thraben Inspector, which, if you ever play with that card in any format, you know how strong that is. So we're pretty happy with that. There is a Melancholic Poet. It is a 2-drop that is fine, but I think the 4-drop, the Eagerglyph Mage, is just better, so we'll take that. Now here's our first Cost of Brilliance, and now as we see towards the end of the packs here, we're going to see mostly bad cards. But if you see a card that is generally decent, you'll know that those colors might be more open. Like Rubble Rouser, I think, is a card you would pick before pick 10 if you were in red. So that's an interesting sign there. And the Theodrys Edict came all the way around, which is surprising. We will definitely take that. And now we have a Poet, which we'll play if we have to. And then a bunch of garbage. So looking at our deck here, do a little separation of some spells quickly just to see how it's looking. And it's looking pretty good. Unlike this pack, which is absolutely abysmal for us, right? I mean, the best card is the rare, which is not in our colors, just an X draw spell. We could take Hop to it. It's an okay card if you can find ways to pump your entire team, like the white rare, or maybe the card that's in the whatever it's called, the archives, that puts a counter on all your guys. We might unfortunately have to just take Adventurous Eater here, as it is a way to trigger stuff. I'm pretty unhappy with this pack. If there was a card we could splash easily that was good, I might take it here, like even a Grapple with Death, but yeah, just pretty unlucky with our pack. Alright, well now we see a really strong pack, right? We have good commons, good uncommons, but obviously our picks, right, are between either the Interceptor, the End of the Hunt, or the Moment of Reckoning. This card is extremely strong if you can cast it. It is obviously 7 mana, making it hard to cast. However, a lot of the spells decks and even some of the converged decks will bring you to the late game whether you like it or not, and having a card like this is nice to essentially actually like win the game when you normally would not be able to. If you didn't want a 7 drop in your deck, which is perfectly reasonable, I think you would take probably End of the Hunt over Interceptor, but you could take either and it would still be good. Right here we have a Spirit Call Enthusiast, which, do we have tokens? Is it any token? Yeah, it's any token. No, it looks like we have one. We have one token maker, so that won't be our pick here. Arnin, how many one toughness or power creatures do we have? We have one. Again, two. We have two. So, given those things, I think we're going to take the Interceptor here. Now, as we notice here, from the left, we're getting a lot of red and white cards. And a couple of solid. This is the second Quandrix Charm as well, so there is a good chance that the person to our left is in black-green. They're clearly not in green-blue, right? Otherwise, they would be taking some of these strong cards. For them, it would have been pick 3, right? Evanescent Scatter, right? So, and we're not seeing any black-green cards, like Titan's Grave is the only one here. For us, we have a black-white card. There's also Rabid Attack, which is a pretty good card in the black-white deck because you can target multiple creatures. But we do need more creatures, I think, overall, and which is why I think we'll take the Snooping Page here. But so if our players to the left of us are playing black-green, which means we'll know we won't get a lot of good black and green cards. However, we're hoping to get better white cards in exchange, which we see here now is just a nice white removal spell for 3 mana. So we're happy taking that. We will be seeing some of the better cards not in those colors as well, like Muse Seeker here. But that's fine. Again, it's not for us. We're already up to 17 playables by this point in the pack. Now we see some late black-green cards, a late blue card. And this is when things get a little weird. You're thinking like, oh, maybe they aren't those because we're seeing these cards. But also, this is where you think, maybe they just don't know what cards are better than other cards, right? You can't assume how strong the players you're drafting with are. This card's worth splashing, so I might actually just take it and see what happens, because that 5 mana creature is replaceable. Jeskai Will is a funny one that is pretty bad. I don't know if we would play a second Render Speechless. I wouldn't want to splash off of a Potioner's Trove. I'd rather do it off lands. And we obviously wouldn't be playing Newt here, so... we'll just take the Render Speechless in case we end up playing 2. Now we have another Snooping Page if we want, which is a solid card. There is a nice Dig Site Inventory, which is one of the better ways to target your guys because you can do it twice. And there's also Stargaze, which is another great late game card that allows you to just draw multiple cards at once. I think I'm going to lean towards the Stargaze here. The power level of a card like this just allows the late game to actually be manageable. Just 5 mana, look at 6 cards, put 3 in your hand, lose 3 life. Very strong. We'll take another Glyph Mage here. The End of the Hunt wield somehow. Doesn't make sense to me, but we are happy taking that. And then here, we'll probably play the Interjection over the 3-drop most of the time, and somehow we also wield the Rabid Attack. So we're getting some of the better ways to target our guys, which is great. We probably won't need to splash this. So we're already here at 24 playables. So like we talked about in the last draft, at this point, this is our full deck. So all we want to do is upgrade the cards in our deck to something that is better. So here we have the Eternal Student, which is, it looks like it plays worse than it is, but it's still pretty good. 4 mana 4/2 that you can make 2/1 flyers. There is a removal spell, a land, and a random 5-drop. So looking here at our cards, we have a bunch of non-creatures, so we're kind of looking more for creatures that are better. So I think we will end up taking this 4-drop here. I would like that land as well. But as you take a card, that now that you know you're up 24, you can already start thinking about what card you want to cut from the deck in order to play that card, right? Here, I think it's an obvious last gasp. Stand up for yourself. We already have one, and it's pretty good. But last gasp being a 2-mana removal spell that targets is just strictly better. Now we have a 1/1 that makes him discard some targeted stuff. Helping Hand, which is mediocre. And there's also a Diary of Dreams. This could end up being a Diary of Dreams deck. I I think people underrate how good a card like this is. Even if we're going to end up playing 10 creatures or 12 creatures in our deck, and we might only have 10 or less instant sorceries, this is just a draw card every turn. So I definitely think it's a playable card. We'll see what we end up having to cut, right? But for now, I don't really want any of these other cards anyway. All right. Well, we got past a nice rare, probably the one, two, maybe like fourth best rare you can get in these colors. It's just a solid 4-mana 4/3 that draws a card, and then it essentially allows you to remove blockers when you target stuff, or if you have any kind of enter the battlefield effects or prepared, you can get multiple uses out of them. Okay, nice. Now we're seeing a bunch of the black-white cards we would want in this deck. I'm going to take the Scolding Administrator over the Lecturing Scorn Mage. The ability to put the counters from this onto another creature when it dies and having Menace just makes up for the fact that this is 1 mana. And now there's a good creature in the 3-mana 4/3, but we already have to make at least 5 cuts, maybe 6, so we're just going to take the land because we know we're going to play it. And here's a bunch of cards we're probably not going to play. We'll just take the 2-drop because we could always use more 2-drop creatures. See, this card here is also made for this deck, right? It has the repartee, but I really don't think it's that good of a card. I talked about it in the last draft as well, where you're just spending 1 mana to do nothing, and then sometimes it puts a counter, maybe like 3 total counters on the guys. Definitely not worth it. We'll take random removal here. We wouldn't ever play 2 Stargaze and 3-mana 3/3 Vig that surveils 2, or 3-mana 3/3 Vig that can become a 4/4. I think the surveil is probably better. And this targets, so I guess we'll take that. Third Render Speechless is kind of funny. Uncommon for the Vault. And I think we have a pretty solid deck. Alright, so let's do our classic T Sullen colon CR. Let's cut a land because it's best of 1. And then look at our cards. So we have to make 11 cuts. That's obviously a large amount of cuts here. Let's see. So we have 17 creatures. We could easily cut probably up to 3, maybe 4. Probably a Glyph Mage. I'm just going to cut that immediately. I want the things that target. Poets. Is Poet worse than Mascot? So this guy's flying and you surveil 1. This is drain 1. So this gain flying will essentially it deals more damage than this would, because it's essentially unblockable, right? And then you also get the added surveil. So I probably cut a Poet. That brings us down to 15. Are any of these creatures? No. So we'll leave it at 15 for now and start cutting from here. Let's put these into removal spells and non-removal spells, just to get a better view as to what is what. And then also this is card advantage. And then these are just ways to target, right? So we're definitely not going to play 3 Render Speechless. I'm just going to cut 2 straight up. We'll play 1. It'll probably be good when we cast it. The second one's usually worse. As for combat tricks, Interjection is probably worse than Rapid Attack. Rapier Wit it draws a card, which is pretty nice, but it's better when you're in a racing scenario or if you're ahead, while this could help us actually kill a creature that we're having issue with. So I'm leaning on cutting the Rapier Wit over these. As for removal, this is probably too much removal. Not that it's ever really that bad, right? But we still need slots for our other cards. So I'm thinking we want all the ones that target because of our repartee. So maybe Shieldred's Edict goes. End of the Hunt doesn't, but it's better than Shieldred's Edict, I think. Johnny's Response is fine. And then I don't think we're cutting our 7 mana sorcery. So let's cut the Shieldred's Edict. And then do we want End of the Hunt over one of these? I don't like the lose life off Feed the Swarm, especially when we don't have many ways to gain the life back. We have gain 1, gain 1. Yeah, we have other cards that make us lose life as well if we end up playing Cost of Brilliance. So maybe Feed the Swarm is worse than End of the Hunt because we don't lose the life. Let's cut the Rapier Wit because we still have to make a bunch of cuts. Do we want all 3 of these card advantage? So at the moment, we're sitting at 12 instant sorceries, which I think is enough for Diary. Cost of Brilliance targets and is cheap. And Stargaze can draw multiple cards at once. So I think... So these both lose life, though, which is an interesting... Again, we don't want too many cards that lose life. You learn a lot when you're playing Magic of how much life is a resource, right? And generally speaking, a lot of the times when a card has lose life or gain life, you really don't think about it as like a part of the card, like it's whatever, like it's really what the other half of the card is doing that matters, whether it's destroying a creature or whatever. But if you put too many of that effect in your deck, it adds up, right? And you can end up losing the game because of it. So for that reason, we probably have to cut one of these cards. Now let's think about quickly how many cards we have that actually trigger our repartee. At the moment, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we play this 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's a lot. So we don't need the cost. We have 14. So I think that's the argument there. Stargaze will draw us more cards and will impact the game more. So now that we've separated our cards, we have our 2 card advantage cards, not including creatures, our rare. Let's go back to setting up our curve, because curve does always matter. Go like this. This is probably going to be a 5-drop most of the time. These are 3s. Alright, so now our curve is looking a little better. 15 creatures, 12 non-creatures. Looking at the Dust Speaker, I do like having a creature at the end of the curve. It does trigger our repartee at least once, and exiling cards from their graveyard can be relevant, both against... It's honestly relevant against every deck, right? If you're playing against red-white, You can exile some of the flashback cards. If you're up against blue, you can exile instant sorceries so they can't get it back. And if you're up against black, you can exile creatures so their pull from the graves doesn't get back anything. We might be able to cut one of the ink mages, perhaps. I think Snooping Page is probably better. Adventurous Eater is better because it can target. So I'm looking there. In fact, we'll just do that. Now I'm looking back down at our instance here that can target, and most of the time these removal spells will be better. We do have Rabbit Attack, so we could think about cutting the Interjection. I'm like not a big fan of combat tricks to begin with. I mean, they definitely can be very good, obviously, but I kind of just view them as like cringe. You know, like I don't really want to play them, so I might just cut the Interjection. Yeah. And then, so we have Subtenants and Sorceries for Diary. I guess the thing to think about with Diary in this kind of deck is that most of the time we're going to want to be playing a 2-drop creature on 2. So we might not have time for Diary, but I just do like the fact that we can get back some of the advantage we might lose throughout the game. I guess so these draw cards, this surveils, this could draw. I guess we have a good amount of like manipulation of our deck. I'll still cut it. See if we don't need it. If we end up losing to grindy decks, we could throw it back in, but for now, this is our deck. This is what we're going to run. Let's see if we can get 7 wins once again to keep the streak alive, even though the streak's only at 1. On the play, always good. 3 lands, 3 drop, 3 removal spells. Can't ask for anything more. If we draw 2 drop here, it's best pass. And we did. It's a cool mountain. 1/3 reach, pretty good against our guy. Yeah, we could kill it, surveil, whatever, but we have a 3-drop creature, so let's just play that. Surveil away some lands. Now, I probably should have just attacked first before playing anything. He may have not blocked because we're that deck. And that's an important thing. It's called a chump check. Pretty much, as long as it's not going to harm you in any significant way, you should pretty much always be chump checking your opponents. It helps you determine what their skill level is, or at least their thought process of how valuable they consider their card. Because some cards might be more valuable depending on their hand. Like this card is better if you have a bunch of 5-mana spells. Alright. So mana efficiency wise, we probably want to cast a 3-mana spell here. So I guess we'll do the Foolish Faith. As much as we don't care about that too much, the Surveil is nice. Lets us get in. And we have 2 more removal spells anyway. It's a pretty weak card. Eternal Student. Well, since we drew a 4-drop, we'll play it. Again, we could chump check there, but now it's less so of a chump check, right? Because this creature can just straight up kill ours, while the 1/3 wouldn't have been able to. So, we can immediately see the skill level of our opponent by the fact that he's casting an instant speed spell that creates a creature when he could have potentially used that to ambush a guy, right? Sometimes you'll cast an instant on your turn if it's a removal spell because you don't want them messing with it and you really need to kill that guy. But then there are times like this where, since it's not a removal spell, but it could be if you use it as an ambush, definitely should be waiting till our turn to cast it. Now here we have an interesting decision with the rabbit attack and the end of the hunt. I think we're gonna end of the hunt, right? It kills off the 3/4. And then we can attack with both creatures and rabbit attack. And if he blocks, we draw a card, kill his guy. And seems pretty good. Otherwise, we can play the poet, maybe just attack with the student, which isn't terrible. It does give us another creature in play, but this keeps our 4/2 in play essentially, and we guarantee draw a card. I actually like playing the poet more, I think. Because this will be better with the poet in play, and he doesn't even block, so I think it's better for us that he didn't block. In 2 turns, our Ink Mage is available again, which is nice. Now we have to be careful of instant speed spells. So, you can't really bounce his own guy because of the token. We could just immediately start with a stand up for yourself, which I don't hate. And then if he ends up having the trick, we still have the rabbit attack. This plays around Spell Pierce as well. And we also get some triggers. If he has the Hexproof card, there's no way we're ever playing around that, but it's good to know that he has it now so we don't just blindly attack our creatures into his 3/6. It's a great card. Yeah, so now we don't have enough power for the rabbit attack to actually kill his dude. And while generally speaking, that's good for him, right? Like, that's a good exchange, casting your Hexproof card when I'm trying to remove your guy. It still is fine for us because we still have the board. And now we kind of have free reign. That's pretty good, 2 more 3/3s. But again, with this rabbit attack, we're pretty much going to trade our board off, but also draw 3 cards. Or 2 cards. Either way, this should be quite good for us. We're immediately going to go to attacks here. It's secret lethal if he decides not to block anything. But I doubt that. I think he's just going to block the 2 2/2s. Yep. And now we're going to go boom, 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 boom. Trigger that. Keep that. Hit him for 9. Kill his 2 guys. Draw 2 cards. Pretty good. Land. We could Stargaze for 2, but we're at a healthy life total and we can get more value out of it, so that was really good for us. And he just loses. Rabbit attack is definitely one of the better combat tricks because the fact that you can draw multiple cards and it can target multiple things. All right, 2 planes on the play makes this hand pretty hard to keep. We do have an Ajani's Response, and if we did draw a swamp, our hand would be pretty good. But if I was on the draw, I probably would keep it because I'm greedy, but we'll mulligan. Now we're pretty much punished. I think we have to keep this. We have 2 castable cards. Get rid of a land over the 5-drop because 3rd swamp doesn't do much for us. Really hoping to draw planes. Nice. Attack for 2. Play our guy. So he's going to be a little slow, but he's going to have a significant mana advantage. Maybe converge. Alright, well, he doesn't have a land in hand, so he has literal 7 spells. That's pretty bad for us. We'll just attack for 4 and pass. Probably kill something. If he plays a land, that is. We could have Rabbit Attack there for an extra 2 damage, Surveil, and a Drain 1, but since we have less cards in our hand, we need to get as much value out of our cards as possible. That's pretty brutal. Rabbit Attack will replace itself. The end of the hunt could kill some bigger stuff later. I'm just thinking if the Dust Speaker will be necessary to win this game at some point, just a big flyer. Or would a removal spell be more important towards us winning? I think the flyer is going to be more important. He still hasn't drawn a land? No, he has. Okay. Alright, well, we'll go to combat. So we can either Rabbit Attack or Last Gasp, but Last Gasp keeps our guy alive, but Rabbit Attack draws the card. I think it's Last Gasp. That could be pretty good going forward. It can get rid of one of his better cards. It's a tough keep because it doesn't do anything right now, but I think it will be good enough to keep. The reason we're gasping on the Studious First Year over the 1/1 was to, if he had a trick to keep his card alive, we could still kill the pest, which is better for us to kill. Alright. That's pretty much GG. When you're behind like this, a card like that is unbeatable. And also when you mulligan on the play. Combine all 3 of these factors and the game's pretty much over. It's unfortunate too because a lot of our cards were cheap, right? So in a normal game where we didn't have to go through all those hoops to try to keep playing the game, like if we just drew a 4th land and didn't have to mulligan, we would have played most of the cards. It would have just made us discard like this, maybe that, but we would have played the Rabbit Attack and stuff. And now our Render Speechless looks really bad because, again, we don't have a 4th land, but just picture how good it would have been if we could have just took that card out of his hand, right? Like he just doesn't have that card in his hand. Now we're just going to kill this because we have nothing better to do. And of course we draw a tap land. So now if he had a single creature, we couldn't kill the creature or take it away from his hand. And he plays an 8 mana legendary creature, of course. Now we look at his hand of 2 removal spells and another creature, and the game's pretty much over here. Don't really see a way I could win. If I take the creature, he can just kill my next 2 plays. If I take removal, he can play a 10-10 trample reach and then kill my guy, so we'll just concede the game now and move on to the next. Hooray. Usually if you see me get tilted, it's mostly because of mulligans. Just a poor design part of the game that makes it super unfun. Here we'll just play this guy. If he kills it, it's our worst guy, so it's fine. Alright, here we can double spell with Interceptor plus End of the Hunt, or we can just Foolish Fate. I definitely prefer the double spell. Just getting to play 2 spells on any turn in Magic is super strong, so that's why 1-drops are so good. And you see in a lot of the older formats that almost every single card that is played is 1 or 2 mana. So here we could just tap his guy and attack, or we can kill his guy and attack. Killing his guy is probably better. If I didn't play the swamp, I could have tapped it. If we hit a plains, play a 2-drop, but I kind of just immediately put my land into play, so we'll use the removal. Yep. This is really where you want to be in the black-white deck, where you tempo with some creatures, and then you basically make it hard for them to block for the rest of the game. Okay, we don't get to draw, but we still get a 1/1. Now we're getting closer to the moment of reckoning, so I can be a little aggressive with my removal here and just play my guy, kill his guy, surveil, 2/2 menace when he has no creatures. Definitely not bad. So I think we'll keep it, or we could get closer to land for the 7. All right, we'll just group bid it. He also loses 3 life because of the poet trigger, which is pretty nice here, and goes to 6. Three first strike, sure. Stops our ground, guys. Land is fine. We'll just attack with the 1 flyer. And that's why that other card's pretty bad. The destroy target creature, give us a 1/1. Because now he's just dying to the 1/1. Sure, we didn't draw a card, but he's just dying. Now we can end a turn surveil. Sure. I like the skull guy over here. Alright, let's surveil. I don't know why he did that. Oh, that's a perfect card to put in the graveyard. And that is a good card to draw as well. Now we can tap his guy. Trigger. That's a good card. He's dead. Nice. And that's bronze too, baby. Why am I so nasally today? I'm not even sick. Pretty slow hand here, right? 2 4-drops and a 5-drop. We are on the play, but we don't do anything for a while. It's pretty greedy. So let's say we mulligan, right? Get rid of a land. We have 3 lands, 2-drop, 3-drop removal. Our hand's much better. But we're down a card. It's greedy, but I think I'm going to keep. If you would have chosen to mulligan, you'd probably be right. But I'm gonna keep it. All right, 5th land. It's okay with the Dust Speaker, but if we draw any lands from here on, we probably lose. All right, that's like pretty optimal draw. So many twink boys in the set. Alright, removal spell, Unforge. Okay, that uses our lands pretty well if we happen to draw more. Solid card, better in the Converge decks, or just even 3-color decks, because it can only make a 2/2 right now. I think we will attack. Start with the attack. And then I think I'll just play the Duelist. Playing the Dust Speaker would have been better for mana-wise, but I kind of wanted the card. I want to see what I want to do next turn a little bit more. And it's another repartee trigger for the Dust Speaker if I were to given that opportunity. Alright, so we could 4-drop here for efficiency. We could 5-drop. Or we can kill the Emil. I feel like Dust Speaker is probably the best use of our mana. Although the counter on this doesn't really do much. Well, he might use this to block. And then it would do a good amount. Alright, let's go with the Dust Speaker. He could have 2 mana deal 4 to a flyer. I mean, that last game that we played where someone had it, that was the first time I've seen someone actually cast a card in the format. But when you're playing the lower ranks, you can expect some of the less powerful cards to be played. Just because they don't know. They don't know what's good. Attacking the 3/3 into our 3/4 is odd, I would say. Could have a last gasp. So I guess we just take it. Alright. I do want to get rid of this Emil now before he can start making guys off of it. So let's see if this resolves. Okay, it did. And then now we can choose between Wander Off and Glyph Mage. Wander Off is pretty good for us against the Sloth because it exiles. But if we wait one turn and have the Glyph Mage in play, our attacks get really nice. So I think I'll Glyph Mage. And then also, if we draw a land next turn, we can cast this, so we could still keep the Wander Off in our hand. Against Black-Green, you're going to prioritize exiling the creatures. Because of Pull from the Grave. If they have the rare 2/2 that you can get back by exiling an instant sorcery, then you get rid of the instant and sorceries, otherwise you don't. Alright, yep, so now we have enough mana for this. We can go destroy, 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 return. We'll destroy all 3 of his permanents and return ours. And even if he protects one, this is obviously still insane for us. Yep. And since it has indestructible, we can just not attack this turn. And we're probably pretty set going forward in this game. Forbid any rares. Bad sequencing by his part. You pretty much always want to, if you're going to cast this card for the draw 2, you kind of want to do it first so you have more options. Like now he has 2 less mana. Gets rid of our last removal spell. It's pretty good for him, but our attacks are still good, at least with the student. And then we're going to play the land out so we have more mana to surveil and activate. Yep. Just do that now. Gets his triggers. We kill them both for free. He gets Sign and Blood at the end of the turn. We'll surveil, put an upkeep stop. Do we want a random 3/3? We kind of want a card that targets, so we'll get rid of that. And then I think we will upkeep surveil because we'll still have 3 mana left. That's a good one. If we had just drawn that naturally, it obviously would have been a little better, but and then we just wait. Alright, I mean, the game is not over now. Sacrifice a non-token creature. Probably the snooping page at this point. Although it could draw us, but we're probably just going to block this turn, so. Yeah, that normally would be quite good, but at least we have the Ajani's response for that. Land. So if I Ajani's response now, I can get him with the flyers. When he attacks next turn, the Pest Mascot will be a 5-power. That is 6 damage coming in. If we kill that, attack for 6, he goes to 5. He gains a life going up to 6. He would have to have 2 more instances of life gain in order to have enough damage to kill us. Otherwise, we have lethal. Yeah, I think we have to go Johnny's response here. And then attack with our guys that aren't the Glyph Mage. See what happens. Land's good for us. What's his last card? Yep, can't block. Okay, he technically lives now, because that puts him up to 7. Let's upkeep Surveil again. A 2/2. Random 2/2. Is it good enough in the sense that we could just attack for like 5 in the air, leave back 1 Inkling, and then we'll just have 3 blockers? It might be, and we're not guaranteed to draw something else that would be playable, so we'll do that. We'll exile a removal spell, probably. Attack for 3, 4, 5. Then we have 3 blockers. Nice. Alright. That's one of the interesting games of the draft that we could go back and look at later if we wanted to improve, because I think there's a couple things I could have done differently, but either way, we win the game. On to the next. Two-lander on the draw with 0 castable cards, but a lot of good cards. We had a similar hand earlier in the draft where I would say that I would keep it if I was on the draw. Is that the case with this hand? We keep seeing the 1 of 5 drop in all of our opening hands, which is kind of awkward. I think I'm going to keep it. Because if we draw Swamp in 2 turns, we get 2 castable creatures and a removal spell. And even if we draw straight plains, we at least have 2 castable cards. Scripted, am I right, guys? Let's see what he does on turn 2. Does he play a guy? Or does he just draw a card? Interesting. I really wouldn't think you would do that, but perhaps he has plans. We'll start with the administrator. In this scenario, it's better than the mascot, and I probably am going to need to cast this removal spell on turn 3, so I want that trigger, even though it opens it up to removal. In this scenario, we are already behind, so I want to play our better card first. When you're on the play, you have a little bit more luxury in playing your worst card first to bait the removal. So if we don't kill his guy, he can draw a card. Yeah, we're going to have to kill this guy. The question is, do we do it on his turn? Could have the indestructible, but he will need to target it first in order, like he might play the rejoinder, which makes me want to leave my guy back to kind of like force him to do that, and then we just kill the page. Yeah, we're going to try to bait him into using that card instead, because it's less mana efficient than just playing like a 4-drop this turn or like 3-drop plus dig site inventory. And it looks really good for him. Like, if you're my opponent here, just playing this, tapping my guy down, drawing a card, attacking for 4, drawing another card, seems really good. You could hit a land and play a 2-drop. He could just dig site inventory on the interceptor, and then Snooping Page is still unblockable. And then he'll have 2 mana left. But okay, this is better for us, right? So we can respond. Kill it. He doesn't draw a card. I see why he did that. He could use the extra mana to return it. Now he's kind of forced into dig site inventorying if he wants to get in for damage. And if he doesn't have another land, he can't return it to his hand. Otherwise, yeah, sure. We'll take 3. If we hit a swamp here, nice. We could duelist or glyph mage. think Duelist is... Duelist is only better... Duelist is only better because we draw a card. But if we play Glyph Mage, and he taps down a 3/3, then we could still double block. So maybe it's Glyph Mage. Or I could just attack, and once again put him in a situation where he feels like he has to use that. Because he's going to tap this down if he's going to tap anything down anyway. Yeah, so maybe it would have been better to Duelist then. Yeah, we probably should Duelist. For multiple reasons, actually. Because if we draw an extra card and we hit up to 5 mana, then next turn we can go double. We can go 2-drop, 3-drop. Because even though we're at lower life total, like, we have way more of a board presence, so trading damage is kind of okay. Sure. He does it. Okay. So we can mask out plus last gas, but it doesn't kill his guy. I think we just Duelist now. Alright, land is fine. 4/3 can block. I guess if he can pump, make it a 4/5. Which we can maybe just hold up both of these and then double block. Gonna put the counter somewhere. I just want to make it as awkward for him as possible because he's not hitting land drops. Okay. So now we have Dust Speaker, which could trigger the Administrator, or we can double creature. Yeah, it's probably double creature. If we keep a land, we can Dust Speaker plus Last Gasp next turn. So we have 6 mana, that's 7. Alright, that's probably fine. We could also just hold up Last Gasp right now and just block Last Gasp's guy. Get in for 7. That might be a slightly safer play here. So, hello, and, yeah, my whole computer crashed in the middle of that game, and then we lost, and I think we were gonna win that game, so that's pretty unfortunate. Hopefully nothing's wrong with my computer, so I'll just have to hope everything's all good, and totally not be tilted as we head into the rest of the draft now with 2 losses. I think it might have to do with my monitor, because my monitor wasn't turning on until I like replugged it. So I'll have to check that out at some point here. But I just want to finish this draft, and maybe we can still squeak out 7 wins. I believe in the deck. I believe in the hand. Why is this guy in our opening hand every game? I don't know. Maybe we should cut him. Alright, we have very little ways to target right now. We need to draw some removal. See how it gave our opponent priority immediately? He has probably Last Gasp. Bitter Triumph. Sure. Alright. Pretty happy to trade. 3-drop for 2-drop, given the opportunity. He does get the trample for 2 and gain 2, but it is mana positive for us. Here we obviously aren't going to want to block because his guy has 5 toughness. Pretty good card. Here we'll play out the Dust Speaker, so we at least have a 5-power guy. Exile creature. So if we attack, he kills our guy. Attacks for 3, 4, 5 plus the mana used to kill our guy 8. That's like half our life total. It seems pretty bad for us, so let's just hold back. Since we have the Moment of Reckoning, we kind of just want to wait till we can cast this at this point. Some crazy traffic going on out there. Sirens going. Alright, so I think we're going to attack for 3, play Interceptor, and untap our guy. Now we have the 7 mana for this, which is nice. That's a decent card as well, which could help if it stays in play when we target. We can exile some tokens. Unfortunately, the 1/2 doesn't add much to this board, but just drawing a card is obviously nice. And got us in for 3 damage. Alright. So this has Ward 2. We're not going to be able to kill it with our Moment of Reckoning. But we can wait one more turn here, because now we drew 3-drop to pair with our 4-drop. Do we want to surveil first or draw first? The surveil feels worse if you hit 2 cards you want to see. And we won't be able to cast any card we draw, so I think I'm going to draw first, and then we'll surveil our draws after. Interceptor. So we could Interceptor now. Oh, we don't have double white, so let's just play the Ink Mage. Snooping Page, Render Speechless. He's only going to have 2 cards, so I would assume the Render Speechless isn't good enough. I mean, 2 counters is obviously decent. And then the Snooping Page, 2, 3 is pretty weak against everything else. Could get unblockable, I guess, with the Interceptor in our hand. So maybe it's good enough to keep for that reason. And we'll just wait. See what his last 2 cards are. Hoping nothing too crazy. Hoping it lands 7. Oof. He has a spell. He wants to cast at instant speed here. Could try to trade with the Eternal Student. I mean, it just gets back. Becomes, 2 flowers anyway. Yeah, so he's just gonna hit us for 4. But at least we get it off the board. So now I think we just do this and kill. Well, with the Interceptor, I guess we can duelist away a token. One, 2, 3, so 7, that's 4 mana remaining. But these flowers could also threaten to kill us with, So what we'll do is we're gonna go destroy, 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 return, and then we'll just have the duelist target one of the tokens, and we'll just get back a 2-drop. And then start exiling these guys from the yard. Attack for 3 in the air. And that's pretty nasty. If I knew he was going to draw 3 cards, I would have kept the render speechless, but... Alright, if that's all he's doing, then we're chilling. Alright. Player land. And now... exiled up to 1 target creature, so I could target itself, or I could target another interceptor. That's probably the better play. Four, 7. Yeah, we have enough mana. Guess we target. If we target the 2/2, we get to attack for 3, 4, 5, 9, 14. Or we get to, or we just target the interceptor itself and trade with the Arnin. I don't know what is correct. Maybe it's just the interceptor itself. Just so we have more ways to target. And if we trade with something, it's fine. Go to that. Exile another creature. Attack for 3. Attack for 3. Attack for 2. Yep. It's fine. And then we'll play the page. Yep. Sure. Bunch of do-nothing cards. Might just chump with the 1/2 if he attacks. Well, now that he played another card. Yeah, I think I'll still jump. Alright. It's all of his cards. That's a pretty good draw. So I have 2 ways to target. So we have 3, 4, 8, 9, 10. So we have lethal if we can get rid of all his creatures. I can kill a guy, blink a guy, tap a guy, blink a guy. So I think he's dead. So I'll tap that. Blink this. Draw a card. And then we will kill this. Blink this. Keep that. 4, 6, 8 plus 4. Yep. Nice. Yeah, this card's really strong. I'm glad we got past it. Up to bronze 1. Oof. We'll probably keep this. Alright, probably worst draw. Sylvan Library. Wow. I mean, definitely can get you ahead on cards, but you might have to pay a bunch of the knife. It's a sweet card, though. I like the art, too. We need a land. We didn't hit a land. Do we end of the hunt to kill a 1/1? It does exile, which is nice for its ability, and we have nothing else to do, so I say sure, and hope to draw planes. If we don't draw planes and draw swamp, we can at least cast this. Yep. Yeah, something to do for 1 green mana. Could be giant growth. Could be... I think that's all it really could be. But we're pretty fucked. Not drawing any land. Classic Magic the Gathering. It's unfortunate. I mean, we have 14 out of 29. About half our deck. Yep. Resolves. Alright, maybe he'll attack, and we get to draw 1 card. No. That's, odd, I would say. Swamp. At least we get to play a card. I mean, he essentially gets to draw a creature or land every turn that he wants. And, oof. Having a shuffle effect with Sylvan Library is pretty broken. Get to put the cards you don't want on top and then shuffle and try to find some new good ones. Yeah. No attack with a Death Toucher. Odd again. Planes? Alright, game's playable. If I Johnny's Response, I'll still have 2 mana up for Rabbit Attack. If I Foolish Fate, it uses the mana a little better. Or if I Scolding Administrator, I'll have to take at least 3 again. But we will have a creature in play before we start casting all our removals, so I kind of like that. Do I attack? Yeah. Attacking makes the Sylvan Library a little worse if we can get his life total to a lower total. Yep, so he paid 4. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's also a really good one. Now our play is punished because we're taking way more damage than we thought. Because he had... This is probably the best common for the deck, like low-key, like just being able to gain a bunch of life. And then Sylvan Library is at its best in black-green because of all the life gain. Alright, another Plains is good. I think we start with this on our turn because of the Essendant Scholar ability. He would draw a card if we killed it on his turn, so... And now we have 3 choices of what to kill with our Foolish Fate. It could be the Scholar, it could be the Bogwar Lumaret, or the Arnin, all of which are pretty disgusting for him. The Arnin seems kind of annoying. The Scholar will be annoying too. I think I'm going to kill the Arnin. We need to kill a lot of creatures, so let's just start getting them all off the board. He had Royal Treatment and didn't save his other guy. That is ridiculous gameplay, if I do say so myself. Yeah. 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. Alright, we're gonna attack with the Administrator. Just so the Sylvan Library is especially painful. Another shuffle effect. The only card I'm really willing to trade with is the Lumaret and the Scholar. I could kill off a 1/1 just for the, you know, just because it's free, but the Lumaret's really good, so I think I'll trade with that. He does draw a card. Student. What happens if I play Dust Speaker? Gets 2 counters. I hit him down to 2. 3. He has 6 damage if I block a creature on his turn. If he draws removal, he has lethal, which he does get to draw extra cards, but if I don't attack and he just gets to attack me, am I winning the game? He could still find removal, kill a guy, attack with all. I block, go to 2. I have to block Arnin. Yeah, I think we just hope he doesn't have it. Only gets 1 counter, not 2. Yeah, let's get rid of that. We probably lose, but I think this is the best way for me to win the game. That doesn't do anything. That also doesn't do anything. I think I win. No. If he attacks with everything, I have to block Arnin, like I said. He needs to attack with a pest to gain a life, yeah. He should attack with all of his creatures. Do I kill off a guy and let him draw a card? No. Because I have +1, so I actually do win. I mean, that's pretty gas. I like winning a lot. Yep. Alright, sweet. Should have lost that game, but we'll take it. Considering my power going out gave us a loss anyway, I'll take what I can get. Tompas. Alright, this is probably one of our better hands that we've seen. We've had a lot of awkward hands. 2-drop, 3-drop, double removal. Way to trigger. Another removal, nice. Play against the mirror. Draw our 7-drop. Hey, it's been amazing every time we cast it. We just sometimes can't cast it. Yeah, he could hit us for a bunch of damage if we let that happen. Which I'm kind of okay. I just want to get my creatures into play. Spend my mana correctly. Ooh, that's a good one. Willing to trade? Oh, yes. +1/+0. Alright, so we'll take it. And now we have double removal up. Do I just cast one removal spell because he has indestructible and then cast Have a Bite instead? To make an X3 creature? Seems kind of good. Do we want a 4/3 or do we want a 3/2? Probably a... Or sorry, 3/3. I think 3/3 is better. 5th land, yeah, we'll take 5th land. And we'll just chill. There is an argument for just killing this before he can +2 guys. Probably should have done that actually, now that I think about it. Yeah. So we do need to kill the Mosio. Or we can kill the Quillblade in response to this. Our guy will... but then he'll have the indestructible. I mean, either way this resolves. I believe. And then... He doesn't gain life this turn. I could make that fly. Okay, so I think we're gonna go... Last gasp this trigger. Keep that. He loses that. And then if we block, he plays that other card, but then we get to play a 3/4 flyer. And he doesn't trigger any repartees, yep. I'm alright with that. Put a counter there. Exile creature. Pass turn. And we still have a bunch of removal. It's a good one. That doesn't make too much sense. We could always just trade even without the counter. I do want to draw a card. I don't want this to get prepared. It's actually fine, so I think we'll just attack. Yeah, he also lets that stay in the graveyard. Now we can just exile it. Now we play this. We untap our guy. Alright. I just want to hit the 7 lands, which is why I wanted to play the Interceptor. Yep. So he'll gain 2 life if he attacks with the Pest. Like one from that, but there isn't a 2-drop to return. So we're chilling. Land's good. And yeah, we just wait it out. Keep exiling creatures. Just wipe his board next turn if we hit a land. I could see just killing that in response. We'll use the exile, I believe. Alright. No land, but at least a solid card. And I don't want to trade 3 for 3 yet. I just want to wait till we can kill these guys. We're in a great spot here where a lot of the time when you're playing limited, you want to be in a spot where drawing lands and spells are good, and that's the spot we're in right now. I do kind of want to start getting in with my creatures, so maybe we do just kill a guy here. Kill off one of the bigger flyers. And then we could start attacking for 3. It's a good one. And we could trade, put a counter. We have a million ways to target though, so. Alright, land is what we wanted. Now we go destroy, because we're going to destroy that. Probably 3 destroys again and return. Boom, boom, boom. Get this guy back. Put a counter. Trigger. Exile. Attack. Yeah. Card's just really strong. You see, even though at 7 mana, a lot of these games you will get to 7 mana, and you just win the game when you cast a card. Woo! Silver 4, baby. Let's go. Alright. Triple Swamp with a castable removal spell, 2 2-drops that we can't cast, and then another removal spell. Do we mulligan this? If I mulligan this, let's say one of the removal spells is gone and one of these swamps is a plains. Hand is definitely better. I do want to keep it because I hate clicking the mulligan button. It pains me every single time I have to click that button in my favorite card game. This is pretty good with that. I have 2 turns to draw plains. All my white cards are dead. I think white's more. I'm just going to mulligan this time. I don't know. Alright. Instantly keep. And does my greedy ass ditch a land? 2-drop, 3-drop, 3-drop. Yeah, probably. So we have 13. Alright, nice. We had 13 of 33 because we need the bottom card to draw a land. So we had solid odds to draw a land in 2 turns. Or 3, is it 3 turns? Because we had a 2-drop to play already. I don't know. All I know is that I'm gonna destroy this guy with my super superior deck. This card's pretty bad, by the way. Don't play this in your deck. This probably takes my removal spell, I would guess. Yep. And we'll just try to curve out here. Yep. It's big damage. I think we'll go 2-drop, 1-drop over to the 4. And then I think I'll put the counter on the Adventurous Eater, actually. Mostly so we could attack with both. Alright, we're pretty low on cards because we clicked the mulligan button and he stole a card, but we have a nice 4-2 we can play next turn. I see. So first we sacrifice this guy. Then we put the counter here. And then we sacrifice this guy and put both counters here. And then we just play a big dude, attack for 6. I refuse to read that card because of its first sentence. Attack with both. Goes to 3. And what does this actually say? You have to sacrifice another creature? Sure. Just play a land. He scrolls over his rare 30 times. And kills guy, win the game. Let's go, boys. Woo! Another 7 winner in the book. Silver 4, couple pips. Well, as we saw from that draft, we got to draft a nice black-white, more aggressively lined deck, and despite the power outage, we hit the nice 7 winner. Let us look at the deck, see what was good and what was bad. So first off, curve's pretty decent. Maybe slightly on the upper echelon here with 5 4-drops, 2 5s, and a 7, but this is really a 2-drop most of the time. And I guess this is always a 5-drop as well, so never got to cast it, but it would have been good the games we kept it on top. The creature to spell count I think was pretty solid overall. You could have maybe made an argument for minus like render speechless for another creature, something like that, but the fact that these were all removal spells is really nice. And we had the one good combat trick that goes well in the black-white decks. It also helped that we had a bunch of the gold cards, right? I mean, this guy is really good. This guy's not terrible. This guy's really good as well. And this guy's insane. This is the reason you want to be white, is this card right here. Elite Interceptor. Nice solid card. The fact that the gaining life from the poet helped trigger this was actually pretty useful. And the couple of life we gained I felt was actually nice. You never want to underestimate life changes. Glyph Mage was fine. This guy was whatever. All of the removal was good. So yeah, overall pretty solid deck. Silverquill can be pretty good if you get the right cards. Remember, even with a 7-drop, even with 2 5-drops, even with 5 4-drops, in best of 1 you play 16 lands. It's just how the shuffler works. You have to do it. And before I end the video, Just a little quick overview of what we learned as well is about the signals. Make sure to keep track of what signals you're sending and what you're receiving from both sides. It will help your draft a lot. Generally speaking, you want to stay open in your drafts, meaning you don't want to go all in on one color if you can help it, just because you never know how that color will shape up as the draft goes on. But I mean, hey, if you're getting all the cards, you might as well pick them. Hope you guys enjoy the video, and in the next draft, not only will we fight to get to the end of silver, we will also go over another new draft concept. What should we do? What should we do? Maybe a little, I guess the opposite of sending signals and what we just said, a little bit of forcing a color combo. Sometimes a viable strat depending on the format. Anyways, catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.